cunts. Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're recording already.
Okay.
Okay, good. So, look, usually I just swing this stuff.
No, we'll
And
just
this
cuff
is
it.
already recording. This is already going out, Rocky. This is not admin stuff. Usually I just swing it. This is kind of this is not my primary stuff. You can see I'm not a podcaster or whatever. And most of the time I'm talking
Man,
bullshit.
we'll just talk, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So so this is probably one of the most one of the biggest podcasts that you're gonna probably ever be. So look,
I'm sure.
just so that you know the context, I did 2 episodes in February, just with Rock, and it was like in the middle, like in the forest.
Yep.
It's called kind of, let's say, it was called in Slovenian, if I translate, forest podcast.
Yep.
Simple, but like for Slovenia, there's 2 episodes. It was, I don't know, let's say 12,000 views.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
For Slovenia,
that's great.
Especially for me, because this was like, hey, I'm gonna try it, so it was not bad.
Yeah.
So since February, nothing happens because of the work and everything, and then since you're here, I was like, okay, that's a good opportunity. So I got here Scott Ryder, which is not his. Is that your real name?
No.
No? We're gonna use Scott.
Yeah, just use Scott, man. It's fine. Yeah.
So, as you know, if you guys were looking at the posts on Instagram, Scott's from the Australian 2nd Commando.
Yes. Yep. 2nd Commando Regiment.
So basically a Special Forces veteran, and of course that's a good opportunity for me to have a interesting chat that's gonna last, let's say, around 2 hours.
Sure,
and also, I know my English is not perfect. Sometimes I'm gonna say something stupid, but I think you're gonna be able to.
Yeah, I'll understand, man. Yeah, we're good.
So, just maybe I wanted to talk about, of course, your military career, and then maybe, let's say, COVID, because of the things that were happening in Australia, or just to get your opinion, let's say, on things, because I have my own. And I was expressing all that stuff here in Slovenia. And then maybe about all this left woke bullshit that's going on. What's your take on that? Stuff like this. And anything in between.
Yeah, sure, man.
You got something to add or whatever?
Yeah.
No?
Cool.
Yeah?
No, we'll just talk, man.
Because
it's the best way, you just start talking, I think.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we can start like with the military and everything. Like what was because I know what was the reason for me, but all good? Rock, yeah? What was the reason for you to go to the military? Or when did it start?
Yeah.
What was the influence, let's say?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like people often ask me that.
Yeah, we can talk. There's the doors closing. Don't worry. Don't worry. We're in a warehouse.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So for me, I don't really know why. Ever since I was a kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, I had this fascination with being a soldier. I think most men do. And yeah, I just had this idea that when I grew up, I was going to be a soldier. And then when I moved to Australia, I actually grew up in Nepal, Kathmandu. So my father's Nepalese, my mum's Australian. So we lived in Kathmandu till I was about 11 or 12. Then when we moved over to Australia, I just realised that being a soldier in Australia is a really good career, and so I joined the Army Cadets, which is like a junior military. In the 90s, it was pretty good fun. We jump out of planes, shoot guns. Now they just march around and read maps. I'm not quite sure they do, but yeah, man. So I just knew I wanted to be a soldier. So I left school when I was 16 and worked for a year, for a couple of months. Then at 16 and 9 months, I walked into the recruiting office and said, I want to be a paratrooper. Yeah. And I was in basic training a few months later. Yeah. And I stayed there for another almost 23 years, so 22 and a half years. Yeah.
But like you said before, that like every man or every kid has this duty, or he feels something in himself. I'm not trying. I'm trying to get the correct words, but do you still think it's the same right now? Because you said like every guy has this calling to join the military, or when you're a kid, 10 or 15 years of age.
Yep.
When you said that, I was thinking like, maybe back in the day, but right now, is this still the case? Or let's say in Australia, are the numbers declining? How many people join the military?
I think Australia's a very unique case in the sense that, and I suppose the military, the military here, right? It's just a cross section of society. So the military is not different to society in the sense that if you are trying to recruit people from the military, you are recruiting from that society, right? So. So I think in Australia, for us, there's definitely been a decline over the last few years, but it's starting to pick up again. I think the essential financial crisis that's happening in Australia with the huge cost of living, I think, has led people to looking for more stable income, and I think that comes from the military. But yeah, mate, I think every little boy wants to be a soldier. It's you see it. I mean, Nerf guns and paintball guns, and I think it's in our DNA somewhere that we want to go hunt and gather and that sort of stuff. But obviously, a lot of men don't actually make a career out of it.
Yeah, I'm just saying because I think that some dudes are getting a bit soft. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But also, you can see the parents. Some of them are like, "Whoa, my kid's is not gonna hold a gun. Oh, stay away from the military. This is bad." You know what I mean? Because I see them.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see like reaction of a kid usually when he sees a soldier or a gun or something. It's like running towards it and
Yeah.
And then you have the parents that are like holding him and pulling him away because this is not good for you.
Yeah.
So I can see that, and I think if this would continue to happen in the long run, it's not. You know what I mean? It's not good for a country.
No, it's not. No.
Because
but
like you said, the society and everything intersects. So if the society goes to shit, I mean, getting soft and all liberal, blah blah blah, then of course you're not getting the guys in. You know what I mean?
I agree absolutely. I also think that as
we can. Yeah, that's. We could even drink here. We could maybe Rock is gonna bring some beer because this is, Yeah. So sorry.
I also think that but yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's pretty common for generations of soldiers, of people, to look at previous generations as being harder or tougher, and the kids now are soft. In the First World War, World War I veterans said the same thing about World War II veterans. World War II veterans said the same thing about Vietnam veterans. Vietnam veterans said the same about GWAT veterans. But also think, and I said this in a podcast recently, and I speak to it slightly in my book, was, when I did my Special Forces selection in 2007, looking back now, we were just running off fear. I just didn't want to get targeted. I didn't want to get yelled at, which is good for selection. But once you've marketed, recruited, screened, and then selected a person for the correct attributes to be an SF dude, then you really have to take on a more training mentorship role, right? So some guys, a few years ago, we moved away from just beasting people on every single course. Like selection ended up being 13 months because every course was fucking people are getting yelled at and screamed at. You're scared of being punished, and yeah, that brings a certain type of, I suppose, really obedient person. But the way that the world is now and the way that conflicts are heading in the future, I think you need people that can adapt in all different environments. You need people who are critical thinkers, and you need people that, can ask questions. So one of the things that I used to say to guys I was training in the regiment was, always ask why. And I think when it comes to instructors as well, there's certain type of instructors who just run off fear. I'm just going to scream at you, tell you this is the way it's done. If not, you're shit.
The worst.
But it takes and what I used to say was, to be a good instructor, firstly, you have to be able to demonstrate the skill you're teaching. You can't just rely on 10 years ago I could do it. No, you need to do it now. And that's something that I still do, training people today. And secondly is you want to create an environment of mentorship where you're not training someone, you're mentoring them in what you do. Yeah. And to do that, you need people to ask questions. Now, some instructors don't like it when students say, why do I have to do it this way? You know why? Because they don't know the answer.
They don't know how to
Shut the fuck up and do push-ups. That's the response. Whereas for us, that just isn't good enough. So I suppose a long-winded way of answering that, man, was basically that I think, society has gotten softer, and I think younger generation is softer, but also think that younger generation are smart. 15, 20 years ago, if you're running a CQB course or you're teaching someone how to shoot a pistol, that was the only bit of information that they had. So you go, okay, that must be the only way to do it. Now, if you teach someone how to shoot or do CQB, they'll just go onto YouTube at night and find why you're doing it wrong. So you really have to know what you're talking about. So I think it makes trainers better, and I think it makes the students better as well.
Yeah. I mean, myself, I'm trying always to explain. Usually the guys that don't have that much experience,
The ones that yell the most.
Are the worst when they're the instructors.
Yeah.
Or like, for example, if someone didn't do something like real world, they never did, they still have this trauma because they didn't, you know?
Yeah.
And then they're acting like the biggest badasses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the other side, you have really experienced guys like yourself, for example, and can be really down to earth, explaining everything, you know. You don't punish them for no reason. You're not acting all tough. Because I think that the guys see through your, if you're humble and through your skills and knowledge, they can see, okay, this guy is the real deal. He doesn't need to show off.
Just be a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, we've got a rule that says no dickheads, you know? Just don't be a dickhead.
Like,
just be normal.
Yesterday when we were driving back home, I mean, you were acting like a complete dickhead.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
The whole day yesterday. That's why today my brain is not working completely because we had a couple of drinks.
It was rakia. You had rakia. That's your fault.
I had rakia, yeah. So we were looking at I'm not sure how do you say in Slovenia, we say, I'm going to say it in Slovenian, da so pogledala pregloboko v kozarcu včeraj za Scottom. So we were looking at the glass too deep. You know what I mean? That's kind of the saying in Slovenia. Don't look too deep into the glass. I'm not sure. I think that doesn't exist in...
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, so you said, okay. So where did you like start when you started your military?
So I joined
You joined the paratroopers.
Yeah, I joined the infantry. So back then we had a battalion of airborne infantry. So that was called the 3rd Battalion, based in Sydney. And that was Australia's only non-special operations airborne force. So there was a whole battalion full of paratroopers. And man, like I loved it. It was really hard work. All we did in 3 hours was just do PT, go bush, jump out of planes and just drink hard, you know. And that was the first 6 years of my formative life as an adult, which probably explains a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's because you guys had probably what, red berets?
Yeah, maroon berets, yep.
Yeah, because like here in Slovenia, you got red berets, but they're not paratroopers. Back in the day, so they're stationed here in Ljubljana. So back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, it was still kind of a elite infantry unit. They were not paratroopers, but it was proper dudes. Proper dudes. Not a lot of women, a lot of PT, a lot of yelling, a lot of ruck marching, a lot of, team leaders, the boss.
Yep.
You got those pit bulls, the team leaders. It was I think that proper way. But now, like in the recent 10 or 15 years, it completely pussified.
Yeah.
Like they brought in all those all those rules that allow soldiers to have some excuses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so if you have this condition, you don't need to do that. Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Lower the standards, and it went to shit. Now it's nothing. The tradition and everything kind of went away. Yeah. So I'm not sure how it is in Australia.
Yeah, look, military. I mean, it's an interesting point you make, man. Like speaking about, what makes an organisation elite, right? So I have my own views on it. Obviously, there is your primary role and function, right? But I think what makes someone or an organisation elite, aside from its purpose, is obviously funding. You can't call yourself elite if you run a shoestring budget. But if you have enough time and money, you can make any organisation elite. But obviously, people don't have that much time because you have to develop capability. People leave, people join. You need to maintain that capability for defence.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing that drives an organisation being elite is culture. And you look at what drives culture. So
exactly. Yeah.
So organisations that have a strong culture that are elite normally have their own mechanism of selection. Right? And what I mean by that is that in a regular defence unit, in the Australian Defence Force, for example, if you're an infantry unit, in Townsville, say the 1st Battalion, that commanding officer or those team leaders don't really have investment as to who comes to their unit. Someone joins the army, they do basic training, they go to infantry school, they get a posting order, you're going to Townsville. So you can't maintain a culture when you can't filter who comes in and out. So with special operations units, you see in Australia, our special operations units and the police tactical groups are the only organisation in the country that peer select the next workforce. They also peer select the next leaders.
Peer select?
Peer select as in the people in the unit choose who comes to their unit.
Ah, okay.
So there is no training establishment.
Peer select.
Yeah.
I thought peace.
No.
That's why I was asking.
So there is no third organisation that selects and trains people and sends them to an SF unit. Every single course has people from all across the SF units that directly look at that person and say, if I pass this guy, he's going to come to my team. Do I want this person in my team? Is he an organisational fit? Which is why in Australia, nearly all operators are normally males in their late 20s, early 30s, Caucasian white males.
Yeah.
It's been open to females for 10 years, not one female's passed. So it's about having, everyone can apply for it, but we only take the people that we want to. So that's how you maintain a culture, and that's what makes you elite. You can't call yourself elite when you can't tell who's coming to your unit.
Yeah, I exactly agree.
Sense?
Yeah, of course. And I don't know, I mean, maybe it sounds stupid because many times I'm telling like dudes, for example, I mean, we don't have that experience here, but like, for example, when you come to some unit and there's this, let's say, not a memorial wall, but you got all the pictures and everything, and maybe you got all the names on the wall of the guys that were killed in action in different wars from, I don't know, Vietnam and Afghanistan, Iraq, and you're like, okay, so this is not, this is not some fucking comedy.
Yeah.
There's warriors here,
Yeah.
there's guys dying, so this unit is, you get this pride, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have that experience because no one was killed here.
Yeah,
like
man,
this,
look, 100%. I think when...
Tradition, that you have.
Yeah.
A unit,
Absolutely.
We lost it here, I think.
Yeah.
Even the special operation in Slovenia is really like losing its tradition because back in the day it was all secret and like no one knew what's going on. Those guys are fucking, but now it's changing, which is, I'm not sure, probably it's not the same in Australia.
No, like I 100% agree, man. I think that, when there was selection courses and our reinforcement training cycle, the RTC, when that was happening and Afghanistan was on, I think there was a real sense of, it wasn't a sense of urgency, but everything took on more meaning because we're doing exercises and courses, we're going to be qualified, and we all knew that within months of us being qualified operators, we were going to war. So the instructors would normally come back and run the training who just got back from Afghanistan. So there was real-time lived experience. So when someone comes and says to you, when you go up to a compound, this is how you hold the gun, this is where you stand, it's not because he read that in a book or he got taught it on a course somewhere. He did it weeks ago, real time, and he's telling you what worked and what didn't.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason why a unit grew so quickly with so much experience. I mean, Two Commando's only been around since 2009 in its current form. Yeah. So it's a really new unit, but we really did learn, on operations. We were tested on operations. So I think that's 100% true. And I remember on my reinforcement cycle, in 2007, we went to Luke Worsley's funeral. Luke Worsley was the first commando that was killed. He was shot in the face, making entry into a compound.
So the first guy?
Yeah.
The first Australian commando that was...
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I was on my reinforcement cycle, and we all stopped the course, and we went to the...
What's a reinforcement cycle? Just so for the guy
so in Australia, you do your selection course. You then select the people to go onto the RTC, the reinforcement training cycle. And that's a 13, 14-month program where you get qualified as an operator to get posted to units. So that's your parachuting, boating, roping, demolitions, breaching, CQB, driving, medic, signal, all that sort of stuff. So yes, I was on my RTC, and we stopped and we went to the Rock at Two Commando, and I was at 4RAR back then, and we had a memorial service for a guy, and we were just like, fucking, wow, this is real. It wasn't like the rest of the Defence Force where you may get to do it one day. Like, we knew we're going to do it very soon. And I think it's a really exciting time. I think, I find myself so fortunate to have been part of that because, you realise you're just a small cog in this massive, massive machine. Flying into Bagram or, as you've been there, go to Kabul and you just see hundreds and hundreds of planes and, hundreds of thousands of people, and you're just one small piece of this very big machine.
But did you have this, I don't know, man, like, this urge or this fear of missing out? So, for example, war was kicking off. There was already guys deploying from your unit. Yeah. Or maybe you were still back home. Did you have this, like, I need to go, I can't wait?
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Absolutely, man. So when I first...
Like, I'm missing out. Yeah. These guys are already doing all this action, I'm not there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man. When I got to 3RAR, I looked at the guys in the recon platoon. So the recon platoon, they did high altitude jumps, square canopies, wear all the fancy t-shirts, and they were like a really elite platoon within 3RAR. And I'm like, I feel like I was missing out. I want to go there. Yeah. So my dream was to be a patrol commander in recon platoon. Yeah. I did it. I got there, and by the time I got there, then there's this whole commando unit next door. I'm like, what are they doing? And it wasn't until I deployed to East Timor in 2002, but I went back as a recon patrol commander and 2IC, sorry, for the 2006 trip. And everything that happened as a conventional force soldier, we'd get on the radio and would say, this is happening. They would always say, yeah, wait, the special forces guys will take care of it. And I had friends that had gone over there, you know, and I'm just like, why am I here? So that FOMO exists. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you were in the paratroopers, and then you went to the recon.
Yep.
And then you went to the second.
Yep, correct.
Commando.
Yep.
How many guys usually apply for the selection for the?
I'm not sure the numbers.
Is it once a year? Like,
yes,
do you have selection once a year, or there's?
It's once a year. Yep. So it's now a joint selection course for our Special Air Service for SASR and 2 Commando.
So you got so for all the SF in Australia, you got the one selection course, and
we normally get, I don't know how many people apply. I've never been in that business of, you know.
I mean, like what, 100, 200?
So we get thousands of people apply, but half of them are overweight, half of them can't see, they can't hear, and so all these figures I think get really old. 6,000 applied and 20 made it through. Well, that's not quite true, because at least 5,000 of those people were probably retarded and never should have applied in the first place. But we normally get 120, 130 people on a selection course. We normally finish the selection course with maybe 45, 50. Then after that, we have the 13, 14 month RTC. And normally at the end of that, there's a bit between 20 and 25 each year get qualified.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but the numbers fluctuate every year.
I mean, okay, but that's not probably it's the whole purpose of selection is not really to, I mean, because you said like 45 out of, let's say, 120. So that's like 1/3, even more.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I mean, is the selection meant to really root out all the guys, or it's like, yeah, this one may be good, we can let him pass and we'll see, you know? Or do you really like?
For me, the utility of selection is really, and I think most of the numbers don't come from failing; they come from people self-selecting themselves off. So people that we have a little card we carry in our pocket, a DOR or a discharge and request. At any stage in the course, a person can complete his card and say, I'm done. Then he's off. I think it surprises me still how many people self-remove off a course because they just realise they don't want to be there. So sometimes your job is just to run the program and people will identify. I mean, we have some guys that rock up and on the first day they have to do a 3.2 kilometre run and a 20 kilometre march, pack march. The amount of people that fail that constantly surprises me. The one thing that everyone knows about selection is you have to pass the 3.2 and the 20 kilometre march.
What's the standard? What's the norm? It's probably not that.
Look, it's hard. It's the 3.2 is designed because it's not long enough to be an endurance run, and it's not short enough to be a sprint.
You need to run fast.
So I think it's 3.2 kilometres in your rifle, 7 kilos of webbing. And boots.
So it's not in sport gear.
No.
Yeah.
So, and I think the time is 16 minutes.
Okay. So you're in your fatigues in military dress with the gun, with also with some kind of a vest
webbing,
or something.
Yep.
Okay. So 16 minutes.
It's a hard run, man.
It's hard. Yeah.
It's a hard run. I've never once enjoyed it. And actually, I can't remember what the time is for the stomp for the pack march. It changes all the time, but I think it's changed recently. But it used to be 20 kilometres, and I think you had maybe 2 hours 30, 3 hours. I can't remember, man.
Yeah, because we got this. I'm not sure how it's in Australia, but here we have this NATO standard that's for all NATO countries. Let's say running standard. 3 kilometers, 200 meters.
Yep.
So you got 100 points is the maximum, right? Yep. And if you got push-ups, and then you have, what are those called? Sit-ups.
Sit-ups, yeah.
And running.
Yep. 100
points per each, and that's 200, right?
Yep.
So that's the maximum score, 300, like the Spartans.
Yeah.
So for the 3 kilometer run, 3 kilometer, 200 meters, it was like, if it's under 13 minutes, then it's 100 points.
Yeah.
So you're in your sport fatigues.
Okay, yep.
13 minutes.
Yep.
You know? So that was, you said, 16 minutes with all the gear and everything. So this is...
Yeah, look, it's not fun.
So NATO standards is basically bullshit, I guess. If the Australians can do it with all the gear, look at those. I mean, but of course, like we talked yesterday, those guys are former penal colony dudes. So all the prisoners that the UK kicked to Australia, of course you get the animals, right?
We're always running, that's why. But I think there's the same. I think it's you need to do 60 push-ups to a cadence, so raise, lower, in 2 minutes. I think it's like 10 chin-ups. But also the It's the basic safety swim test. I think it's swim 400 meters and tread water for 2 minutes in your uniform. And
tread water like
just
what?
like just
walking.
No, just be in the water and just
Oh,
keep
okay,
yourself
okay.
afloat,
Yeah.
So that's the very basic. But the main reason for the fitness test isn't really to see if someone's fit, which you need to be to do the course. But you know, the army brought in this thing a few years ago. There's a new rule called tough training. So in the army, you can't give people punishments. But when you come to SF, you know, we can do whatever we want. So it comes under tough training. So that's to give someone tough training. You have to make sure that they don't have a fucking heart attack. So that's what the fitness test is for.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But it's a pretty similar story to any SF unit in the world. You got to be fit.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But fitness is just designed so that you don't have a heart attack. You know, I mean, you can train anyone to be fit. We're not after fit people. It's not the CrossFit Games.
No, of course.
Know?
I think it's more like you will have guys. They're not as prepared, let's say, physically as they should be.
Exactly.
But you can see that his stuff in his mind, like his mind is stuff. He won't quit, and even though on the selection or then later on the course that lasts a couple of months, if you see, I mean, at least for me, in my opinion, physically being fit is not the number one thing that I would get a guy and let him in.
Yeah.
Because you can build physical.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can build fitness later, but if he doesn't have this something in your head that will, you know, that you're gonna push through all the shit, then it's.
And the whole idea is that, you know, the course isn't designed to make you fit. You're supposed to do that in your own time. So part of the reason why people self-select is like the one thing that you know is, and there's no guesswork. We give people a 13-week program. Monday morning, do this. Monday afternoon, do that. So all they have to do is follow that program.
So they all who apply get a program. Yeah.
All they have to do is follow the program, and some guys can't even do that. So our job isn't to make someone fit. You know, like within commando, like we don't go to work in the morning and do group PT and go for runs. Everyone starts work at 9:30. People take their kids to school. You're expected to train in your own time. You know, we don't make people go for runs.
So you train by yourself.
Yeah. Like there's no fitness testing. We don't have PT tests. It's just big boys rules. You know, each team commander has a responsibility to make sure his team's physically prepared.
But you have every year those tests? No. Really?
Once you're in the regiment, there's no fitness testing.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, you're expected just to do it.
Because we have it over here.
Yeah.
And we also had, you know, our own PT, so you could do whatever you want for 2 hours every day.
Yep.
But then I must admit, and I was one of those guys, I'm not saying that I was not, you know, I was getting a bit spoiled. Benching all the time, doing biceps curls, you know, and I wasn't running. And I was gaining a bit of weight, not being fat, just muscle mass, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, I could still do everything, but I was seeing on myself, I was seeing how harder it's getting for me to do something. When I was with all the gear, with the rucksack, you know, walking in the forest, uphill, doing something, whatever, patrolling and doing something, I was really getting. Hey, I'm covering. I was thinking, man, that's not good. But like, for example, in Afghanistan, it was, I mean, mostly driving around with MRAPs. We were also walking, you know, but it was mostly doing stuff with the vehicles. And I'm just saying, I was getting lazy a bit. Because I was a machine after the selection and after the 6-7 month course that you need to do. I was a machine, right? But then it started to decline, at least for me. Which is.
And I also think it's important for us to, you know, one of the main reasons we don't have enforced fitness testing is because, I mean, if we had enforced fitness testing, I probably would have had to leave the army after my helicopter crash because I'd so many injuries. Like, I wasn't going for 3.2 webbing runs. Like, when you're young and you're there and your body's fine, but, you know, if you get a bunch of 40-year-old men to run on concrete with their webbing on for 3.2 kilometres every year, you're just going to cause injuries. Then, okay, that person may not be as physically fit as they were, but if he leaves because of injury, you've just lost 20 years of experience. So what's more important for the organisation? Have a bunch of people who are really fit, who have no experience, or is it a good balance? If you're a young operator and you're 22 years old, you don't have to do any paperwork, admin. Hey, guys are fit, they train twice a day, they have nothing else to do. But if you're a senior guy, if you're a sergeant who's been around for 20 years, is your time best spent running every day? Like, the unit's too busy, there's too much going on. We don't have the capacity to get a whole squadron to miss out on half a day's work for a fitness test. You know? It's not reality for us.
What would you say is the best age for an operator? Like, what's the
for a new guy?
No, like ideal age for an operator. You know, that you have the correct amount of experience. You're mentally, you're not a fucking kid anymore in your head. You know, so what would you say is the
I'd say probably 30, between 30 and 35. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you probably, I mean, so you went, when did you went to, how old were you when you went to your first deployment, basically?
18.
18?
Yeah.
Was that like a combat tour or?
It was a combat tour by classification, but it was United Nations peacekeeping in East Timor, which is north of Australia.
So your first deployment was to East Timor?
Yep. I went there in 2002, then again in 2006. That was with 3RAR. Then all my other deployments were with SF.
So there was no combat situations in Timor?
I didn't fire a shot until I'd been in the
Because
army
I forgot
8 years.
what was going on in Timor. Is there still?
No, it's fine now.
It's fine?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what was the problem back then?
Look, it's got a really long history. It's basically occupied by Indonesians, and there was obviously there was guerrilla groups that wanted to drive out the Indonesians, and there was pro-Indonesian and anti-Indonesian militia groups that was causing chaos. Villages being burned, people being looted, people being murdered. So I think the United Nations. So Australians first went in there in 1999. Then again in 2002 under a United Nations mandate. So it was United Nations peacekeeping for about 6-7 years. Yeah. But it was for me, there was no action, but it was a really hard time for me because I was just a shit young soldier. I was always falling asleep on picket. I was always losing shit. I was always getting in trouble. I was always in charge. And I learnt all the hard lessons, I think that was, 18 years old, and we'd be out in the jungle, out in the trees for 2 weeks as a section of nine men. And you're just walking all day, picket all night. It was old school infantry, grassroots soldiering, and that really gave me the foundations for my career. Like I always say, we get young guys who may have not spent time in the army. They want to do all the fancy shit, all the CQB and the parachuting. It's like, hey, the fundamentals of this is: can you operate in a team out in the bush? I mean, because if you can do that, you can do anything. But if you can't do that, CQB, whether it's CQB or it's close protection drills, it's all based off principles that you learn out in the field as an infantry soldier. Yeah,
I mean, even though there's no serious situations, I think it's a good experience because you learn still a lot.
Yeah.
Like you said, you were losing shit, you were doing all the bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Because for us over here, let's say, I mean, it's not similar, kind of. For us, it's, in the Balkans, let's say Kosovo. Kosovo, ever heard of the country?
Of course, yeah.
Patrolling, stuff like this, there's nothing going on, but still.
But you're learning.
You're learning.
You're doing a job every day.
Yeah. So it's, because, people think like, that's a bullshit mission or however you want to call it, but still, you're there for 6 months, staying in the barracks with other guys, you're learning how to live with each other, basically.
Exactly right.
How to work, communicate, because, things can get tense even over there between us. So,
and it's hard work, it's just like infantry soldiering is hard work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, look, I really had a good time. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, there was no shots fired at all. But it really formed the foundations for me anyway. Yeah,
so I didn't mention it before. This is the book that Scott wrote. When did you finish it?
Last year.
Last year?
Last year.
So now you got it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can get it anywhere on Amazon. Yeah.
What's the price tag? Is it expensive?
Mate, it's the Australian dollar to the euro. It's probably like one euro. After buying beers.
Hey, so then why are you even selling it? It can be for free, just hand it out. Hey, But it's only this version, or do you have? Because usually I wanted to say a version in Slovenian. So is it like this hard copy?
Yeah.
Then you have this paperback
ebook.
version,
Yeah. So
audio books.
It's on paperback. It's on audiobook. So it's on Spotify, Audible, and you can get the ebook as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because like we were yesterday when we were driving from Venice, we were talking about all the books that ex-Navy SEAL, Delta Force, blah 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 guys wrote. So we were kind of agreeing, I think, that not everything is.
There's a lot of books that just talk shit.
And also propaganda, kind of.
Yeah, it is.
Let's say the movies.
It becomes military propaganda. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm definitely gonna read it.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man.
I mean, I got it for free. Yeah. I'm not sure if I would buy it.
Do you know what? If you don't like it, just use the toilet paper or something.
No. Hey, that's. I mean, with all the experience and combat stuff and all the shit that you guys saw, we didn't. So I imagine it's an interesting book, and it's, because we got guys over here also writing books, but there's. we didn't, you know, do the shit that you guys did, basically. You know,
think it
not
was
on
just-
that
just
scale,
lucky,
not as
yeah.
nearly. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah. So, what was the first deployment that actually, there was the first round shot at you?
Yeah.
Where was that? When did it happen?
So that was to Afghanistan 2008.
You were in the commando.
Yes, yep. So
Okay.
I was in the commando unit. I was in the recon team. So we were the pathfinders. So we had we rolled around on unarmored vehicles. The Americans thought we were fucking crazy because they're all
Like
in
those
Humvees.
Land Rovers?
Yeah,
or-
they're Land Rovers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was the whole recon team.
Australians.
The whole recon team. We were on quad bikes, so 4B and 6-wheel bikes. You know, machine guns and rockets on the side. But there's no ballistic protection at all. Just me in a baseball cap and a t-shirt riding around the desert.
Mad Max stuff.
Yeah, it was, man. Yeah. Like, I mean, looking back now, it's pretty fucking crazy, to be honest. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, the IED threat, you know, wasn't that big in 2008. Each year, as the war progressed, the IED threat got worse and worse, and we reduced the amount of people on bikes because you need bikes to get the bigger vehicles through. Otherwise, you just get, you know, it's like driving vehicle operations. But so to reduce the threat, instead of having, you know, so many guys on bikes, we narrow it down to a few bikes. We have guys rotate through to try and share the risk.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, man, so I was the number one scout in the recon team. So I was the pathfinder on vehicles, or if we were on foot, I'd be the first guy that would lead the whole company into an assault. And our job back then in 2008 was the main mission for ISAF was bringing a massive turbine down from Kabul into Helmand, into Kajaki, to provide electricity down towards Helmand province. And Taliban's number one aim was to stop that happening because they didn't want, you know, whiteys bringing in electricity because those people like to stay in the fucking Stone Age for whatever reason.
So that the turbine was to put it into the dam,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, of course.
But the Australians' main job was, Australia's main effort was actually the reconstruction of Uruzgan. So you have your engineers, carpenters come in and build schools, and the infantry guys would provide protection to them. And our job was to basically, the term they used was disruption operations, was to disrupt the enemy, which basically meant just drive around until you get shot at and then kill anyone that shoots at you, which is essentially what we did. So our job was between that and we used to do direct action targeting. So there'd be an ISAF SOF target list of people, you know, MVIs, HVIs, you know, people who are targeted. That we'd go and prosecute the targets. So it'd either be capture, kill, or kill, capture. And for me, it was probably, you know, the first deployment like that's always the most memorable. But it's probably the most SF thing I've done. You know, where you're walking, you're driving all day.
So the first deployment, like you said.
Then you're just walking all night. You know, big line of assaulters. 3 a.m, approaching a target house, explosive breaching on the walls, doors. You rush in, grab the person, take them back out. So that was, we did like 23, 24 direct action raids on that deployment.
Which usually lasts how long?
Minutes.
I mean, no, not like the deployment, half a year?
Oh, 5.5 months. Yep.
Yeah. So it's always 5.5. It's not like you were extending something.
No, it's always 5.5. Yeah, 5.5 to 6 months.
When you mentioned before that you guys were basically kind of drawing fire on yourself. Basically went out and basically as a bait.
Yep.
Did you ever do? I mean, it was funny for me when we were down there. We were doing kind of recon by fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You were reconning, so you would shoot in a direction, basically to see if something's gonna.
Really? No, I wouldn't.
You did that?
No.
Recon by fire.
No, we
I'm not sure if that was the term that was used as a joke, but
there's. I mean, because obviously the huge thing for ISAF was civilian casualties, right? So.
Oh, I know. You
civilian casualties.
You wouldn't just shoot.
Just
in
imagine,
a house
just imagine a bunch of Slovenian girls rolling around just shooting into villages. Wait to see.
I think that was the term. I can't remember if we ever did it, but maybe just shooting up into some mountain.
Yes,
you know, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't want some guy from the Slovenian military like, fuck with this guy. You know, who was in charge of that? So when you said like the proper SF stuff, because I always imagine stuff like this, walking outside at night, you know, those long missions,
walks,
you know. Because for us, it was mostly with vehicles.
Yeah.
You know.
So we used our vehicles, and I think the Australian Special Operations Task Force, we were called TF66 or Task Force 66. I think we surprised a lot of the Five Eyes, you know, within ISAF because they were like, who is Australians that will just drive for 2 days to go raid a compound in the middle of some province somewhere that no one else would go to. So I think that's what sort of forged Australia's reputation in that war, was the guys who would just go anywhere and do anything, you know. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a whole lot of fun, you know. It's like I said, first deployment, so I made a lot of mistakes that people making their first combat deployment. I learned a lot of things. I learned a lot of stuff that had been taught in the past was useless.
Yeah.
And for me, I suppose, you know, it was the first time sort of seeing the enemy as well, you know, and it's like, and this is what I think, you watch movies and like, you know, they have the Taliban, you know, AK at the waist charging across the open. It's like, I never saw anyone do that, because they don't want to get shot either. You know what they do? They hide and they shoot and you can't see them. So I think for me, it was most of the time when we first got shot at was spent not doing a contact drill and immediately returning fire. It's just moving a cover and just trying to work out where the fuck did that come from.
Yeah,
you know,
it takes a lot of times.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes a lot of time to even.
And you don't see them, you know. Yeah. So that's, you know, you hear all the time. Where the fuck is that coming from?
Yeah,
and you're trying to work out where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Then you think you see splash on a hill, and you start shooting, and you realise that that's just your friend's bullets. It's not the enemy's bullets.
Oh yeah.
But half the time they'd ambush you, and they just melt into the desert,
and move
into
away.
the hills, and it's like, well, what are you gonna do? You know, we can't. All our shit, we can't chase them in the mountains.
Were they like? So that was. I mean, probably there was a lot of close-up shooting. Did you have? I mean, was everything like long distance? I don't know, 100, 200, 300 meters, or?
I'd probably say most were at longer ranges, but. As you know, in Afghanistan, you have the desert, the dashed. Then you have what we call the green belt. So if you look at a map, they build all their houses and villages along waterways for obvious reasons. They can drink and their animals and, you know, agriculture and so forth. So, you know, some engagements were in the green belt. You know, I think we had a team that was ambushed from 35 meters in the green belt, and those guys were on their stomach doing a break contact. You know, that there weren't guys standing up and going, last man. There was dudes on their stomach because there's bullets flying everywhere.
Yeah.
So some engagements were really close, but most engagements I'd probably say were at a distance. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you had any situations like going into a house, dudes inside the house shooting them?
Me personally, I never got the chance to shoot someone inside a compound. I think of the nearly 30 direct action raids that we did, targeted raids looking for people, I think only 2 actually were opposed, where people shot back. We did one raid on an objective. We did a helicopter insertion, when we did like a 9-kilometer walk into the compound. We got into the compound. There's a really complex set of compounds, and I think we killed 5 fighters and the person we were looking for. Then we just left. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure if it did any good in the long term. Obviously it didn't because we lost. We left, but
yeah, that's another conversation to have.
Yeah.
What was the whole reason?
Yeah, I mean, look,
behind it that we're gonna have it after the pee break.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Rock?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're already rolling. Okay. Because I was trying to ask him some stuff, but it's fine. We're rolling. That's it. You know, I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
Probably there's gonna be guys, because there's some good podcasters here in Slovenia, you know. And I was talking with, so there's this guy Domen. Domen, if you're watching, he's a podcaster. I told him that maybe he will do a podcast with you because he's a really, he's a good guy. He would really prepare.
Yeah.
He would give you all the correct questions that I don't have right now. Because even now, when you're talking, I'm thinking like, what I'm going to ask him next? That dude's got so many experience. He could talk about, not just about combat and those, but just things in general. Yeah. And I'm already, what am I going to do? This is going to look retarded, but yeah. This first deployment was kind of the most, how to put it, hardcore or something.
I think for me there was a lot of firsts. You know, like your first of anything is always going to be your most memorable. But I think probably saw the most action in that one. Yeah.
So 2008. So can you just maybe describe all the deployments that you had? Let's say, okay, 2008, this one, Afghanistan, Iraq, just so that guys can see the number of stuff you guys did, because here in Slovenia it's different. You know.
Yeah, sure, man. So 2002, 2006, East Timor with the infantry. 2008, 2010, 2013, 5-6 month combat deployments, Afghanistan. Then 2014, deployed to Europe, when MH17 was shot down. So we were the Special Operations Recovery Team to recover anyone that was captured, because there was a bunch of police unarmed inside the Ukraine.
So that was downed where?
Ukraine.
In Ukraine?
Yeah, but we were based in Eindhoven.
Downed by who?
In Holland, by Russians. That was the plane that was shot out of the sky in 2014, killed hundreds of people.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember that one. Yeah, sorry.
And then after that was, I did 3 rotations on the counter-terrorism team. So the first one was 2016 as a sniper. That same year, I deployed to Iraq for 7 months. I was there training the Iraqi SOF in hostage rescue. Then I did, 2016. I think that was it. Yeah. So between 2013 and to my last day, did a whole bunch of VIP close protection, Iraq, Afghanistan. So they go from sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes a month. And I did a whole bunch of those. So in between,
So the last deployment was basically like the last time you went when you were in the unit somewhere. Even a CP job was like.
That would be probably 2019, 20, something like that. Yeah.
Did you ever got shot when you were on those CP jobs, so close protection jobs? No, it was never.
It's just an exercise in logistics, really. I really enjoyed it because for an SF guy, you have complete agency and autonomy. If there's like a 5-star visit or the Prime Minister's going to a country, and you'll be in there, you have all the assets, and you're just you're driving around, flying around by yourself, organising everything. So it's a huge amount of responsibility for an operator. And you get to see things that people wouldn't see. You get to hang out with the Prime Minister or the Governor General, and you get to, when they go to their meets and the meetings, and I was the bodyguard for our Prime Minister for a visit to Iraq, and he went into the presidential palace to meet the Iraqi president, and it was just me and the Prime Minister and a bunch of Iraqis inside the presidential palace. And as I went into the meeting, they closed the door on me, and I'm just like, well, guess I'm just going to wait here. That's pretty loose, man. But I really enjoyed those. There wasn't anything kinetic. I don't think there's ever been any action happen. But it's just fine tuning all those skills and planning and all those soft skills. Being able to talk to people. You could go out to dinner. You didn't have to sit there and present properly. And I think for us as well, not every operator is suited for that type of soft skills work. Particularly when it comes to commando, whose main role is direct action hostage rescue. So we have some guys that are really, really good operators, just hard charging motherfuckers. But there's no way we'd put them in front of a VIP. They're just looking like, So it takes a certain type of person and personality to do that well. Yeah.
Not everyone can transition to. At least, to this corporate, let's say, CP work.
Yeah, I want to do it. Huh? I want to stand outside a hotel room or some 23-year-old rock stars doing cocaine all night like that. The fuck's like.
No, but you have those soft skills, right?
Yeah. If I had to, yeah.
You can do it, but not everyone can do it. Yeah, exactly like you said. It's funny when you think, like when you said that dudes can't imagine like where you end up. In all those strange and different situations that you end up, like when you were explaining with your Prime Minister, you said, and had all this privilege, and you see things that,
people don't see,
people don't see and experience them, and you see this background, kind of what is going on behind the curtain, and
Mate, honestly, I've always had these moments in my career where it's like I've always undervalued myself. I've always told myself that. Like, I suppose it's some form of imposter syndrome, Like, I always felt like I don't deserve
what syndrome?
Imposter.
Okay.
So I've always felt like I've never deserved to be anywhere. I almost felt like when I got to unit, it's like, oh, fuck.
Like, why was that?
I don't know. It's just, I've obviously always had this insecurity that I'm not good enough. But it's actually worked for me because it just makes me work harder. I think the worst thing you can do as an operator, or as a human in general, really, is to think that you're too good and you know everything. I've never been one of those guys. I'm very transparent in my failings. I'm very transparent in my shortcomings. But I think, that can work in your favour. Because as soon as you think that you're killing it and you're good, you don't need to do anything, that's when you start going downhill. So for me, I always have these moments where I just pinch myself. It's like I'm a kid that grew up in Nepal. I went to a public school in Western Sydney and I've done all these things in my career that I look back now and just think, it was pretty fucking cool. It isn't until you leave that you have that you look back and you realise that at the time you're just so busy and consumed by it. It's not until you leave and you go, now I'm 41 years old now. I've got a young family. I left the military, a year and a half, 2 years ago. my life's definitely taken a pace down, a few paces. But you look back and it's like, fuck, that was pretty good.
like, whoa,
Yeah.
It's not something ordinary or, which is not, I mean, which is perfectly fine, everyday job, blah, blah, blah. But so, like I said before, probably from your first deployment, was there a certain mission that really stick in your mind? Can you maybe just walk me through, like, how you guys usually approach it? Maybe how you plan it? What's this procedure? How you, or like, because for example, I mean, were there missions that happened like from today, tomorrow? Okay, like today you get some info, tomorrow you're going out, or is it like okay, we're planning 2 weeks in front, preparing everything? I don't know, UAVs, blah blah blah, or
So that's in all our deployments, you either had pre-planned deliberate operations that had a whole bunch of planning, a bunch of assets, or you had what's called TST or time-sensitive targeting. So if there was a person or something happened, we always had teams ready to go. So you literally run into the aircraft as you're getting orders over the radio, looking at a map, trying to work out where you're going. So they're always fun because you don't plan. As soon as you plan something, it just becomes monotonous. And it's like you do a rehearsal and your orders and another rehearsal and all plans change again. Oh no, aircraft's cut off. He's not there anymore. And the next day, let's go do this again. You rehearse it or. But for us, the biggest frustration in that first deployment was, building up for this big assault, and the place has been empty for 10 years. It's bad intelligence. We put explosive charges and blow the walls, and your heart's racing. You make entry, and there's nothing there. It's like fuck, dry hole. And you walk all the way back, drive somewhere, sleep for a few hours. The next night, do it again, and 90% of the time there was no one there. So that became really frustrating.
Did you guys have like information leak, for example, that the but you guys didn't work with Afghanis, right? You were doing your own stuff.
No, so in 2008, we didn't have any partner force, but each deployment as the war grew on, we had to have more and more partner force to work with.
Were they leaking like info to the Taliban?
Oh, they're useless,
Because
it's terrible.
For us, it happened probably almost 95% of the time. Like you said, we would go somewhere and there was no one there. Walking through the whole night.
There's no one there.
Waiting for something to happen, and there's nothing.
Well, that's part of the reason we used to walk so far, because if you're driving vehicles, they can see your vehicles. They've got radios, like they know that land. They've been there for centuries. They'll know if there's 50 cars coming from somewhere. So the only way that we could really maintain the element of surprise was to leave our cars in the middle of the desert and just fucking walk a lot. But going back to your question, I suppose the first memorable, for me was, and it's memorable for a few reasons. It's the first time I saw someone die from an IED. It's also memorable because it was one of the physically hardest walks I've ever done. So it was on that 2008 deployment. We were targeting this one person. We drove for a day and a half, 2 days, middle of summer fighting season, so it's hot as fuck. At one stage I was riding with both legs on the other side of the engine because the engine was so hot I couldn't keep my leg there. That's how hot it was. But we walked, and we were supposed to walk in.
So you were driving with armored cars or those Land Rovers?
ATVs,
so
bikes.
The whole team was on ATVs?
The recon team was. The assault force would be in those Land Rovers.
So what's the number? What's the number of recon guys? What's the assault force?
So we had 6 recon guys, 6 snipers. Then we had 2 platoons of assaulters.
So that's
60
platoon
dudes.
For you guys, 20?
About 30 dudes,
Okay.
That's your assaulters, your enablers, medics, radio, JTAC. Then we had like our Stormman vehicle, the mechanics are at the back in case the vehicles break. So it's a huge 50, 60 vehicles. That's lots of
the whole
cars.
convoy.
So our task was to drive all day. As soon as it got dark, I think we started walking about 8 o'clock at night. We were supposed to be at the target by, I think it was 2 a.m. for a H hour, 2 a.m. So execute at 2 o'clock and then find this guy, then walk out. But, I was so fatigued from riding my bike and I was so hot. And I was also carrying a ladder as well. So I had my M4, I had my M4 40mm 203. I had, 7, 8 magazines, my 40mm grenades, your body armor plate carrier, NVGs, your medical equipment, radio, all that sort of stuff. Then I had a ladder, like a collapsible ladder as well, because one of our jobs was as the roof team. So we'd put a ladder up on a roof and cover the assault perimeter on that entry. So I was carrying a lot of shit. And this walk just went on forever because you got to walk really slow. When you make your approach to target, and there's always dogs are barking, and there's a light come on this compound, so we're going to walk this other way. So as the recon guy, as the scout in the recon team, you know, I'm covering way more kilometres than everyone else because I've got to hold the team. Then, you know, I'd go one way, the other scout will go the other way. We'd like, yeah, this way's good, come this way. No, this way's bad. So you're constantly walking.
But is this, I mean, is it desert area?
No,
or
this is all
urban population?
all in the green belt. So it's like
okay.
close jungle. It's like, you know.
Yeah, so you're walking past houses.
Yeah.
So this whole march was basically, you were walking in urban area, kind of.
Yeah. So we'd stay in the desert.
As I try to imagine, I'm imagining you guys coming somewhere from the desert and...
Well, it depends. Ideally, you want to go from the desert straight to a target house.
Yeah.
But the way that some of the green belts were massive, right? You're talking kilometres long. You have no choice but to go in certain ways. So anyway, so that was the plan. But we started walking in. I was really tired. We got to the target. On the way to the target compound, there was an Afghan National Army tower, and they actually started shooting at us. So part of the Congo, part of the line was taking cover because they're being shot at by Afghans. So that was the first thing that went wrong. And as soon as that happened...
Did they shot because they thought you were Taliban, or they knew that you guys are NATO, SF,
they thought
whatever?
we were Taliban, yeah.
Okay. You take them out?
No, we didn't take them out. No.
I thought you were going to say, fucking...
That would have been an international incident. So that was the first thing that sort of went wrong. And then on the way, there were some dudes that must have heard us coming, and one guy grabbed his AK and was hiding behind a rock, and our air assets obviously saw it. So some of the guys rushed up and killed him. So already we're compromised, right? But we were already too committed, so we just walked fast to get to the target. Got to the target, empty, no one there, right? Someone had been living there, but obviously they'd been warned out.
Hey, if I can, I'm just asking you. Actually, I'm interrupting you, but that's why because I'm curious.
Yeah.
And like to, I try to picture the things that you're talking. When you said there was a guy hiding behind the rock, what was the distance from you guys?
So this all happened behind me. So all we heard was the radio. So we heard our JTAC getting reports from an ISR platform that could see what was going on, and they said, "Hey, there's a guy over here." So then the JTAC talked on some of the assault teams to go find him, and he was hiding like 30 meters away, like in the bush, but it was thick like this. He's outside. And he's standing in the dark. You know, we've got NVGs on, so the guys just rushed up and killed him.
I mean, I just wonder, he doesn't know that there's SF guys coming.
Yeah.
But you were alone behind a rock. There's a column of dudes. What's the mindset of that person to just start
Yeah.
You're gonna die.
Yeah.
They're gonna assault you. There's also, he probably heard air assets.
Oh no, the air assets were way
like some UAV or?
No, it's like it's just like an American ISR platform.
Okay, ISR, yeah. But still, what's the?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've never understood it, to be honest. Look, I don't know if it's stupidity or if it's naivety or they're just really fucking brave, But
of course,
some of the stuff these guys do, it's like, holy fuck, man! Like you knew you were going to die and you're still charged. Like, fuck, good.
Yeah. So, just don't be pissed at me when I interrupt you.
No, go for it, man. Ask me questions, man. So we got there. The compound was completely empty. Then we started walking back, but because on the way in, the Afghan tower had shot at us. Our initially planned exfil route was going past some more A&A checkpoints, and our boss was just like, "Well, I'm not going that way anymore because I'm not going to have one of my dudes shot by an Afghan tower, even though we had radios and they're supposed to know, but they're fucking retarded, So he's like, I don't want to go this way. I want to go this other way, which was, I think, 4 or 5 kilometres longer, right? By this stage, I hadn't slept in 24 hours. I was severely dehydrated. I drank all my water. I saved a litre of water as an emergency. My back was fucking killing me, and I just had nothing left. I was just exhausted. And it wasn't even first light yet, so the sun hadn't come up yet. So we started going the long way, which had us backtrack, go the long way, box around. Then, something happened. I can't remember what it was, but we had to box around again. Which, for those people who don't know, the term boxing around means when you're looking at a map, instead of going in a straight line, you create like a box formation to get back to your line of march.
To get back to the sun.
So anyway, by the time the sun come up, we were still in the green belt, which is, you don't want to be in the green belt when the sun's coming up, right? Everyone's awake, all the farmers are out. So we started walking, and we get to this big dry creek bed. It's this big creek bed, and there was an Afghan kid who was walking up and down the line of assaulters, and he was looking at everyone saying, "Tajiman, Tajiman," which is Pashtun for interpreter. And everyone's like, "Fuck off, kid, go away." Then we go down to cross this dry creek bed. I get to the other side, and I just turn around, and boom. So what had happened was that kid was trying to find who the interpreters were, because that was the Taliban's number one target, to the interpreters. If we take the interpreters out, we can't do the humanitarian work, we can't do the infrastructure build.
Yeah.
And it was a remote-controlled IED from a house that just watched us. Now, the distance of where the trigger man would have been, he would not have known, because the interpreters wore a uniform. Some even carried like sticks that look like guns, so they can't be identified. There's no way that person would have known exactly where the interpreters were, but he just happened to get it right.
So they killed the interpreter.
They killed two interpreters
with that IED.
Yeah, just blown to smithereens. Yeah.
Just the two of them.
Two of them. Yeah. They had a few guys had some frag injuries, but and after that, it's just like, okay, get ready for ambush. Like we're going to get hit. But after that, nothing happened. So because that happened, we had to wait get the body pieces, put them in a body bag, had to carry them out, which slowed us down. Then because that happened, we had to go an even longer way. So I think it was about 8 in the morning.
There was things stacking up.
Yeah, man.
Bad shit was stacking
Yeah,
up.
and I was already tired, and it was about 8 in the morning, and I'm walking, I've got my rifle, and everything is just hurting. And I remember thinking to myself, this is why there's a selection course. Because physically I had nothing left, and I wasn't even carrying a big rucksack. I'm just in assault order, but body armor, helmet, just the adrenaline and the being on edge all the time, that nervous energy just takes so much fitness from you,
Yeah.
And I honestly thought that, and I remember thinking to myself, if there was no selection course and there was just a bunch of random soldiers here, half these guys would have gone down with heat exhaustion or collapsed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up walking back, we got to our vehicles at midday. It was like 47 degrees. But that's probably the most memorable for that reason, because a lot of things went wrong. I watched two dudes get blown to pieces, and that's when I realised this is why there's a selection course. Because, selection was hard, but that was fucking harder. And I wasn't even doing a lot. I had plate carrier and a little backpack on. Theoretically, it should have been easy, right?
Yeah.
When you actually start to take in what we call the human factors, and this is one of the things that we teach a lot, is you can teach someone how to do A. We're going to do CQB. In training, I can get my team and we can clear 3 levels. Physically, you're fine. Maybe a little bit out of breath. You go clear 1 compound in Afghanistan, completely out of breath, physically fatigued. So a few years ago, I really got into Muay Thai and into kickboxing. And I remember when I had my first fight, I remember feeling and saying to myself, this is just like combat, because training for a fight, you're on the pads, 3-minute rounds, you're fit, you're fine. 25 seconds into the first round, I'm done. Same as boxing, same as any sort of martial art or fighting sport. But I think fighting sports are really good for that, because it's the only time I've found where it's closely mimicked the nervous energy and the adrenaline that you feel. It's not fear, it's anticipation. I suppose it's nervousness, which is normal. But it just burns so much energy, it takes so much capacity from you. So one of the things I say to guys who want to know what it's like to be in combat, well, go start boxing, go do kickboxing. Stand in front of someone, and there's no one's going to come help you. It's the loneliest place in the world.
Go into a fight, basically.
Yeah.
Fist fight.
Yeah. But no, not just fist fight, which I suppose you can, but physically prepare for something so that you're physically fit, that you can do 9-10 rounds and you're fine, but you do one round real life, and why are you so tired? And it's also a way to as I've learned over the years, to try and control your nervous system, by doing certain breathing techniques to try and lower your heart rate down. And I do it all the time.
What's the technique that you do?
We just teach basic box breathing. So 4 seconds in, hold 4 seconds out, 4 seconds in.
Like 4 times? Or?
Yeah, you just 4. So breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out for 4 seconds, and then like a box formation in a box style. That just helps take your mind off what's and I do it all the time, even in training. And
maybe, with that one, when I know that technique, but it happened to me sometimes that I think hyperventilated.
Yeah.
I got dizzy.
Yeah. It's one of those things, I suppose. Yeah, you have to practice. But I
Yeah,
mean, look,
so that's why I was like, fuck, this doesn't work with me.
but to be honest, man, like I've never done the proper box breathing technique. For me, I'll just do slow, controlled breaths. You know, and I do it all the time. You know, if I'm doing a complex skydive, for example, and there's a lot of things, it's like I'm rehearsing in my mind. Slow breaths. You know, I do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the more oxygen you get,
particularly when I'm driving in shit traffic in Sydney and some fuckwit cuts me off.
that's your natural thing, basically, the technique that you just... Yeah, it's... When you were describing this this mission that you guys had, you know, usually in the civilian world, people don't understand, like, those simple tasks. Just walking from point A to point B. It's not just like, okay, we're just marching, and you're there in, I don't know, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not like this. There's so much coordination. There's air assets, there's this, there's that. You do a security halt. I mean, it takes time, like you said, and then that's, even if that's only 5 kilometers,
it's hard.
This will take a lot of time, right?
A lot of time,
because you were saying, like, you were extending and walking around, because that total mission was then, how long did it last?
God, it was over 24 hours.
Yeah.
And also, there's fatiguing too, man. Like, you know, when you're walking under night vision, so it's like, we'd go out and do like a 30-day vehicle operation, and every night you're under nods.
So you went out for 30 days?
Yeah, so we'd go out in a vehicle to like 25, 30 days, just living in our vehicles, just doing strikes all around Uruzgan province. So
oh shit! I mean, that's
that's
that's proper SF stuff that I imagine. You go out and you stay somewhere, and you sleep around in the car, whatever. You make those, probably, how do you say, those patrol bases with vehicles, or however you set it up.
Yeah, man. Just leave. But I mean, but our force was big enough that we were a mobile patrol base. We had more guns than a patrol base would on the perimeter. So instead of going to a patrol base, I mean, like we used to go to US ODA FOBs to do a resupply, or if a vehicle was broken that was being towed and it couldn't be fixed out there, then we'd call ahead and take a vehicle into a US compound and they'd, you know, fix it with their mechanics or whatever. But yeah, man, it was just, you know, you're lying on a mat, living on a swag, eating rations. And just every night you're out on the job, like 30 days straight.
So did you have air cover constantly?
Yeah, all the time.
Something on you?
Yeah, so as soon as there was a coalition team in contact, or being called TIC, troops in contact, then we have all our assets come to us. So I think in 2008, we were the first Australian to go into Helmand province as well. And I think, you know, we did this incursion into an area of northeastern sort of Kajaki, and you know, that was the first time that I saw, you know, US air assets bomb, like, you know, 500-pound, 2,000-pound bombs, you know, in the Greenbelt, and like we're like 2 kilometers away, and you can feel it in your back when you're sleeping at night, you know.
They dropped a lot of bombs, yeah.
Oh, insane, man, insane.
You know, those 20 years.
I used to always think, like, imagine being in that village and then having a 2,000-pound dropped on you, like even being close to it would fuck you up. You know? Horrendous.
And I was also thinking, like, how much, I mean, all the effort, all the money, all the machinery, all the bombs, everything, for some dudes with AKs, and you know what I mean? You drop I don't know, 100,000 bomb on a guy with an AK.
Yeah.
How is that sustainable?
Firing a Hellfire missile at one guy on a push bike.
That was so Iraq, Afghanistan. You don't need to talk about other wars, but that was 20 years.
Yeah, man.
You know, shitload of videos.
Yeah, exactly right.
You can see it. So, but like, do you think, like now, when you're out of it, do you think that, you know, let's say both wars, Iraq and Afghanistan, because probably your opinion changed. When you went in, let's say in 2008, you're probably thinking differently than now. Do you think, you know, what were the reasons for it? Was it just, and also, let's say then basically the exfil, how the NATO and everything, and everyone pushed out, like, do you think differently, or you're like, it was, was it about money, you know?
I don't know if I think differently. I think I've only probably thought about it recently. I mean, like I said, man, I wouldn't have cared where I was. You know, I didn't really give a fuck if we were helping the Afghan people. Yeah. Or if we were, that's great.
You just wanted to do that.
I just wanted to go out and do my job. I just wanted to get in gunfights and do my job as a soldier. I wouldn't care if it's in Afghanistan, if it's in fucking Lebanon, Slovenia, Tasmania, and Australia, anywhere, you know. I do remember thinking back then, you know, and having conversations. I read this book. The book's called I think it's called A Bear Came Over the Mountain. It's about the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan in the 70s, when the Soviets occupied Afghanistan. And I was reading this book about how the Soviets, obviously the US CIA was helping the Mujahideen, the Taliban, to fight the Soviets during the Cold War. But reading about the flawed techniques of how the Soviet armored divisions were put themselves in poor positions in that Afghanistan mountainous terrain, and how they were constantly ambushed, and all these lessons learned. I remember reading the book going, well, this is exactly what the fuck we're doing. Like, have we not learned? Have we not learned from history?
Yeah, same
But to answer your question, bro, no, I do remember thinking at the time, what are we actually doing here? Because it isn't like we're going into a village and we're occupying it. We go in somewhere, kill a bunch of people, then leave. And then, you know what? Every rotation, there'd be a new bunch of dudes that would go do the same thing, hit the same compound, the same guy. And we're just killing people and causing damage and leveling villages for what? What are we actually doing here? And it wasn't until very recently that I actually started learning about, you asked a question before about, why is that guy hiding in behind a rock? What was he thinking? There's a thing called Pashtunwali tribal law, where, it's an ancient law where if you don't welcome someone onto your property, then you use force to repel them. Something as simple as asking permission, someone then has to invite you in. If you look at the story of Lone Survivor with Marcus Luttrell, it was Pashtunwali tribal law that kept him alive, because it was actually the Afghans themselves that were defending him from other Afghans under that ancient tribal law. And I remember thinking to myself, we used to even use the term, in 2008, we didn't use the term Taliban, it was anti-coalition militia, which I think is a better term, because the idea that the Taliban is this unified, military that has a command structure and everyone's under some orders, just doesn't work, because we're down in Uruzgan province. There's no way they even know who's in power in Kabul. They don't know who the Taliban commander is. But you've got tribes that have been fighting against each other for centuries over water, land, resources. You've got the Afghan partner force, who also have tribal affiliations that use the ISAF as a proxy force for their own. It just became this whole. It's like, what are we actually doing here? But I think
other countries also funding, like Iran probably, and
of course,
all those groups.
But I don't know what we're doing. Did I see a difference over the years? Yeah, I did see a difference. I saw schools and hospitals, and I saw little girls going to school, and all the normal things that we enjoy. So, that definitely was an improvement,
Which now is gone.
Which now is gone. And I think that the catastrophic way that we pulled out of Kabul, in 2021, I think is a smear on all of us. Because I just think that, all these, and I made this comment the other day, we have all these Australian officers that go to Staff College and War College, and they go to war studies. And I was like, imagine all the Western, the ISAF officers, how many hundreds of thousands of degrees and hours spent studying war, and it's like we haven't won a war since Korea. We literally failed at every single war we've tried to fucking win.
Exactly.
We went to Iraq and we created ISIS. ISIS is a direct, is caused by us going and creating a power vacuum after we overthrew and threw everyone out in the Iraqi military. So we don't really have a good track record. Would I do it again? 100%. I really don't give a fuck, And if I was still in the army and were to go back, I'd be happy to go back tomorrow. But do I think that, did we achieve anything strategically? Well, I'd probably say no. And there'd be a very hard counter argument against that. But I didn't really care at the time, bro. I was a soldier. I'm not a politician. I'll go anywhere.
Yeah. So firstly, you wanted to see some action. You wanted to shoot people.
Yeah.
I assume.
Essentially, absolutely.
Because if you say this in Slovenia, even let's say the shrinks in the military, when you have those evals, they're gonna think you're crazy.
You just have to lie for everything.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I wouldn't be, because I don't have those experiences that you have. Maybe I would be scared shitless. I admit it. I don't know, because I wasn't in those extreme situations. I still think at that time I wanted to shoot at people, at those dudes. I didn't care what's the reason why we're there. I just wanted to blow shit up. And I'm gonna say it again for the politics here in Slovenia and all those fucking idiots. The dudes in special forces, they wanna demolish shit. Not because they're violent idiots. They're good guys. But that's the nature of the job. That's what you want to do,
Yeah.
No, I always use these
agree,
opportunities.
Mate. Just get back at them. Look, and I think, mate, if you ask any professional soldier what do they want? Every professional soldier, now I use the term professional soldier here, I'm not talking about reservists and conscripts. I'm talking about every professional soldier hopes to go to war. It's just a fact. Now, you know, people talk about, you know, and I've read books and listened to stories about this guy, and it's like, you know, I had to take a life, and, you know, I thought about his family and his kids, and, you know, why are we really here, and it's changed me forever. And it's just like, the first time I shot a dude, that was the best day of my fucking life. I turned around and a high five. I made it like, you! Like, it was great. I'd trained for this moment for years and years and years. How many hundreds of thousands of bullets? We don't fire bullets because it's a sport. You fire bullets because you're trained to fucking kill people. You know, that is your job. Like, your job is to go out and put a fucking bullet in someone. And I think that as a society, if that isn't appeasing, or that isn't, you know, comfortable to talk about, well, then don't talk about it. But you can't water down an organisation's sole job, which is to kill for political gain. You know, war's an extension of politics. Now, how do you win wars? You win by occupation. How do you win by occupation? By force. How do you use force? You put people, bodies, trucks, vehicles, buildings, and if anything goes wrong, you shoot people to help that happening. You know, for me, it's just common sense. But I've never understood. I mean, I have thought about, you know, the people that I've seen die over there. Then I have, especially when I had my daughter. When I had my daughter, then it's the first time I actually thought about it and realised that all those people that were killed over there, that they were someone's sons, they were someone's daughters. You know, they had parents that when they came into this world, they had the same hopes and dreams for their kid, like I do for my daughter. Yeah. So that part makes me sad, and I don't think, you know, as much as I like being a soldier, I would never advocate, you know, going to war for human suffering for the sake of going to war. You know, I think that's fucking evil. But
I agree. I agree 100%.
Once again, I'm not a fucking politician, bro. Like, you know. Yeah. Where am I going? Cool, let's go. Yeah. But I do think that, you know, I don't think we've made it better. It's actually gotten worse now. It's the Taliban has a government now that runs Afghanistan, which is insane to me.
But don't you think that, firstly, you can't enforce our way of living to the Afghanis? Because we were trying to do that. Bringing democracy to Afghanistan, try to give them our own laws and how. I mean, that's probably the first mistake. Like, I mean, I wouldn't do that. No. But don't you think that all of this was happening because of, so also Iraq, because of, let's say, resources, influence. So it was basically just a game for the rich dudes that are running the show.
Well, look, man, you know, it's like I said, I think war is an extension of politics. And people have been going to war for resources since the dawn of man, you know.
It's still happening all the time.
Yeah, because, you know, and you know, I was having this conversation with someone, you know, a few weeks ago, and they were saying, you know, we only went to Iraq for oil. And I said, yeah, good. They're like, why good? It's like, imagine tomorrow if your petrol cost $35 a litre. What would that do to you? What would it do to the economy? What would it do to business? It would destroy us. You know, the government has an obligation, they don't always get it right, of keeping everything balanced. They have trade with countries, they have diplomacy, they export, they import. There's this fine balance. And sometimes when trade doesn't work, then you have to use force. So when people say we only went to Timor for gas, for natural gas, we went to Iraq for oil, I'm like, yeah, good, so we should. Because that's how your lifestyle is maintained right now. And it's not that too dissimilar to what we've been doing for fucking centuries. You know, we've been going to war with the opposing village because our water source ran out and they control the water. You're not going to give us the water, we're going to take it, but why? Because you have an obligation to provide food and water to your people. If you can't make an agreement with someone, then you use force.
This is how it always has been, and still is. And, you know, I mean, of course, I don't support killing and wars, you know, like support them. I don't want them. But like, it's still happening right now. They just pack it differently so that the broader audience doesn't understand what's going on. So when you now have people saying like, you know, you should defund the police, defund the military. Insane. It's like you guys don't even know what you're saying, because it's still the same as it was 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And like you said, if you don't have something, it's always, you know, how to put it. There's always going to be one that's stronger and one that's weaker, and the stronger one will probably eat the weaker one. Eat the weaker one. So if the weak guy wants to cooperate with the stronger guy, then we're going to cooperate, and you're going to give us shit, and in return you can exist and develop something, blah, blah, blah. But if not, and that's how it is. I mean,
exactly right. Yeah.
That's how it is. It's not right, let's say, but it's how it is.
But I'll also have huge, I'll take huge issue with people, in the West in particular, who live in free democratic societies, who don't ever have to worry about going to war for oil. They just expect that their lifestyle is maintained. And when someone gets it wrong, and this whole idea of this libertarian attitude towards war, it's just like, get troops out of Iraq, get troops out of Iraq. People say, why are we in Iraq? It's got nothing to do with us. Well, you know what? China's pretty far away too, and it has a lot to do with our economy and trade. Every country in the world we have some arrangement with. We have diplomats, we have embassies. Why are we there? Because they need something from us, we need something from them. Why do we have alliances? To use your example before, you have a stronger guy and a weaker guy. This is why we have a Five Eyes alliance. This is why we have, AUKUS deals. And people talk about, why do we need nuclear submarines? Well, it's a deterrent. It sends a message to someone. And I think people don't understand that. We look at countries that have militaries that haven't been used, and they go, "Why are you putting all this money into the military? We're not going to go to war. We're not going to war because we've got a military. It's a deterrent. If we didn't have a military, then this wouldn't be the same. So for me, it's always been really simple, and I've never understood this attitude of anti-military and anti-West sentiment for people who live in the West. It's like all these liberals who hate capitalism, and they post about it on their iPhone. Like, I don't think they see the fucking irony of it.
And this is currently EU, probably the same in Australia, but like EU is now the fucking hive of this left liberal bullshit that's going on, and all the politicians in all the countries are on the same wagon. It's like. Yeah, well, it's happening pretty big in Australia at the moment. We've had these, massive anti-immigration rallies. It's been happening all across Europe. How much immigrants you get? I'd have to get exact numbers, but I think we're importing a million people a year. I mean, a million people, close to a million people a year. So a million people a year. That's to replace you guys, basically. Yeah. That's to replace you. And I don't understand why am I being called a Nazi if in Australia there's 1 million immigrants being imported to your country. Well, look, I don't know if it's a million. I may have made that up, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's 100,000 or 10,000, it's a lot. Yeah. 100%, man. And I think, and it's I'm an immigrant. I migrated to Australia. I'm not against immigration. I'm against mass immigration for political aims. So you've got a Labor government in Australia who are basically importing votes. Because all the minority groups that they turn into citizens and they migrate to Australia, they typically always vote Labor. We have this. So Labor is left wing. Yes, left wing. Labor, the party. You got Labor and Liberal. Okay. Which is a bit different in terms to the US, but like I said, mate, I'm for migration, but I'm for a healthy amount of migration. We've got a housing crisis in Australia, where the median price for a house in Sydney is like $1.3 million. That's the median price for a basic home. And it's going up every year because everyone moves to Australia. They all want to live in capital cities. People don't move to Australia to live in the desert. They want to live in the major capital cities. So it's causing this upward inflation on house prices, which people can't afford. So, there's, there used to be a ratio. It's your income to debt ratio, which is how much do you earn in a year and how much your mortgage is. And it's been healthy in Australia for a long time, and now it's ridiculous. I mean, we're in a position now where young Australians won't ever be able to buy a home because they can't save money fast enough than the house prices are increasing in. And we keep bringing in people. So I think that is unhealthy migration. I also think that, when we moved to Australia, we became Australians. I spoke Australian. Yes, I suppose it's not really English, is it? I mean, we were Australians. I played soccer, I went to football, I had barbecues, I had beers. My father spoke broken English. He went to work and he watched the football. We didn't move to an enclave with other Nepalese people and pretend that we were living in Nepal still. So I think that it's important to bring in people because having a culturally diverse country is important, but not at the cost of eroding Australian national identity. We're in a position now where we've got these anti-immigration marches. It's all, free Palestine. Up until Palestine was freed and Hamas started killing Palestinians, now no one's saying anything because it's not, against Israel. And so you've got these marches that are
Palestinian marches, then you had, the Australians are now saying, just like it's happening in Europe, Europeans have had enough. Look what's happening in London. 1 million people protesting and saying, no, this is fucking enough, stop this. If you're an Australian and you bring a flag to one of these marches, you're labelled a neo-Nazi or a fascist or a right-winger.
So
no, you're just
crazy.
Australian, And the media typically labels anyone that is pro-Australia as being a right-winger or being some type of neo-Nazi, You got all these purple-haired liberals who have never really had a job. They're probably just out of university. They couldn't even point where Palestine is on a map or the history of the country. They don't know anything about anywhere because they've never done shit. And they are, clogging up our streets every week with bloody pro-Palestinian marches. It's just people have had enough. I think people have had enough in Australia, and from what I can see, people have had enough in Europe. You have now this right-wing movement, and I also think that the Charlie Kirk, I was a big fan of Charlie Kirk for a long time. I think Charlie Kirk's assassination has just woken the sleeping giant. I think
it's helped. I think.
I was thinking about this the other day, and it's just like what if Charlie Kirk's job on this earth was to be a martyr?
Hey.
And you know what? And by him martyring himself, he's going to bring millions of people to Christ. And by doing so, there's going to be less people moving towards Islam. So maybe that was his calling.
Yeah, and there's funny coincidences. I'm not sure if it's true, but there was like dudes saying that. So the time he died matched some proverb from the New Testament.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Which actually is saying something in those lines.
Yeah.
That you kind of sacrifice for something greater. So, I'm not sure if it's true, but I wanted to ask you, because you said that you were a fan of Charlie Kirk. So he was a really religious guy. So how does that fit into your...
Yeah, look, man, I'd probably say I'm religious. I'd probably say I'm a struggling Christian. I think I have my moments where I think I've found my faith, and I have moments where I just don't buy into it at all. So my wife's very religious, and she always tries to bring me back. I started going to church again a few months ago. But for me, I think it's important. But I think for me, it wasn't religion itself. I think it was my political ideology. So my views on Australia and where I think we're going as a society sort of started to move more and more towards Christian values. I mean, which Australia is based on a Christian democratic country, right? A lot of although there is a separation of church and state, being a Christian country is what made our country really good. It's why
all the countries.
It's why all these people want to move away from these countries that are majority Muslim to a Christian country. Then they want to turn it into a Christian country.
Sorry to interrupt you, but that's like the best message, because I'm really trying to. I also talk a lot about religion here, and I'm pushing Christianity because I also got baptized in April. And like when there's dudes, that like pagan shit, Vikings. I'm full of Viking tattoos from back in the day, right? Yeah. And they're saying, but like exactly like you said, all the countries, EU, US, Australia, blah blah blah, they have become what they have become because of Christianity. Yeah. That made them good. That's why people from other parts of the world are coming to UK, to Australia, to EU because of Christianity, not because of Islam, not because of, I don't know, pagan worshipping witches, whatever, but because of this. Sorry to interrupt you, but I need to point that out, because especially, and again, this is again the message, when you got a guy like you that's seen a lot of shit, and you got bigger balls than most of the people that are watching this, even myself, of course.
I don't know about that. I'm just lucky.
Come on.
I'm just lucky, I think.
Some over here, right? And when a guy like this is saying something about religion, faith, or Christianity, that's for me like, hey, if this guy is on it.
Well, it's like I was saying, man. I really think I think it was a merging of me of my political views, because I realised that if you look at firstly the rates of people having, and I'm sure it's the same in Europe, right? If you look at the average rates of childbirth in Anglo-Saxon Christian countries. So the average person has maybe 1 or 2 kids. I think in Australia it's been declining, so people are having smaller families. There is a decline away from Christianity, so you're having smaller families moving away from Christ, while you are bringing in a culture that typically has 4, 5, 6 people per family, and they are very devout Muslims. Yeah. So you don't have to be a statistician to work out that look forward 10 years, what's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying that if you're a Muslim, you're a bad person, right?
No, I got many friends.
Yeah, exactly right. But, you know, being a Muslim in itself, it doesn't make you a threat to society. But importing Islamic ideas that are not consistent with Christian values and allowing those values to become more prominent and pervasive, I think is the issue. And I think
Exactly right.
I think I realised that, you know, like I've got friends that will say, you know, I'm not religious, I'm an atheist, and I just say, like, at least say you're agnostic, at least say you don't know, because you can't just say you're an atheist, you know, because what does that mean? Because nowhere in the Eastern Hemisphere are they saying they're atheists. You know, being a Muslim is part of their culture from the day they're born. And if you look at the message that Christianity says, and I think Charlie Kirk was really good for this, because Charlie Kirk never ever belittled anyone, he never swore at anyone. All he ever just preached was his ideas. And they're basically what? I know they're really extreme and right-wing now, but what's he saying? Man should marry a woman to have a good family unit. The left will say, well, that's not true. Two men can have a baby. Well, they can't. They can adopt a baby. And yeah, I'm sure they're good people. But is that best for the child? When that child goes to school and he's being bullied because he's got two dads instead of a mother and a father, you look at, you know, gay couples, particularly females, there's always one that takes on a male role. There'll be one girl that's dressed in a dress and the other girl that's dressed in a suit. So, because I think there is this thing inside us that there's a way that it's supposed to be. A man and a woman are supposed to be together and they're supposed to have a family. Any move away from that, no matter how much you think it's right, comes at a cost. There's always, it's a zero-sum game. It has to come at a cost. It comes at a cost of being marginalised. It comes at the cost of not providing a child a stable household where there's a father figure and a mother figure. And I think it's very well known what happens to young girls that don't have fathers in their life, father figures. How do you have a father figure when you're a lesbian couple that has a daughter? Yeah, does that make sense? And I just think that we are moving away from what works. And you know, what they say in Christianity, you know, be a good person, do not sin, do not steal. These are basically rules to be a good fucking person.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say behead all those who insult Jesus. But if you insult the prophet, all of a sudden you're a target. And it becomes this, what I call moral cowardice, where everyone knows what the problem is, but no one wants to say it. No one wants to say it because they don't want to lose their jobs. It's like this whole...
Especially the dudes on positions.
Exactly right. Yeah. And it's like this whole, you know, gender, you know, the gender pay gap and diversity. And it's like we have to have a certain amount of females, a certain amount of Aboriginal people.
Bullshit.
And I'm for, and you know, I really like listening to complete...
a podcast, you mean?
No, I was had
some dude.
Yeah, I was had a complete
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson, yeah. And, you know, where Jordan Peterson speaks about, you know, we should all have equality of opportunity, you know. I don't think that a female should not be allowed to go for a job just because she's female. I don't think that an Asian or an Aboriginal or an African American or wherever you're from, you should not be excluded from applying or trying to do something. But also think that organisations should have, you know, equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. You know, you shouldn't let someone's sex or their religion or the colour of their skin be the sole metric to hire them. I'm not saying you exclude those people, but if you look at firefighting, right? So in Australia, and it's like this a lot in the West now, they have to have a certain amount of females because they want to make it more gender neutral, you know, because... And then you look at, okay, well, if your house is burning down right now in Australia, you're going to get 10 people, not firemen anymore, firefighters rock up to your house. Out of that 10, there's probably only going to be 5 that are actually capable of dragging someone your size from a 2-story building. Out of that 10, there's going to be 2 or 3 that are there purely because they're Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander or they're female. So that actually creates a burden on the workforce of people because they have to now account for another liability. And it just becomes this farce, you know. You know, I've got a friend, she works really high up in a really prominent corporate, you know, global company. And they have to have these DEI days and, you know, speaking about, you know, and I asked her and I said, if you were to train someone as your junior, would you pick a male or a female? And she said, male, every day of the week. I'm like, why? And she goes, because he won't go on maternity leave for 9 months. And I said, would you ever say that publicly? She's like, fuck no, I'll lose my job. And that's the predicament we're in. Everyone knows what the issue is, but no one wants to call it.
There's so many areas similar to that. We're doing everything against the nature, basically.
Yeah.
How it should be.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
particularly in Europe, everyone knows what the issue is. When people say anti-immigration, just call it for what it is. It's anti-Muslim immigration. Have a look at Poland. Poland do not take any Muslim immigrants.
Yeah.
You know, not one. And
you know, it's for me. I always take into the consideration that I got friends here that are Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, and if I say something, I actually kind of self-censor a bit because they're my friends, and it's not like I'm targeting them or their religion, but like as you said, the problem is but Muslim immigration.
But you also can't be naive, you know. Like I've got friends that are Muslim too, and I have conversations with them, and I say, when all these things happen, well, why don't your mullahs at the mosque? Why don't they go on TV and why don't they, like if I saw a prominent Islamic figure get on TV and say, no, that is not what the Quran says. It doesn't say behead people who don't believe you. This is what, but they can't.
Yeah.
You know, the mere fact that their prophet was a pedophile, you know, that speaks a lot. You know, imagine if Jesus had a wife and she was 7.
I wouldn't follow that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be disgusted.
Exactly right.
You know.
Now,
but if you look at Jesus, how he was, he was poor.
Yeah.
And just, you know, doing good stuff, even though they hated him, you know, and he was like, I mean, I would like to follow him because he's a perfect example of how I will never be.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Mate, I wish he was here. Yeah, we'd have a beer. I'd love to ask him some questions.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's but yeah, look, mate, these are my opinions only. I'm not a religious scholar. I've never read the Quran. And are my views swayed a lot by what I see on social media because my algorithm is swayed towards that way? 100%, I admit that.
Which affects us, of course.
Which affects everyone, and it's made that way. But you know, I just think fundamentally that you know the West is based on Christianity, and it's worked pretty well so far. I mean, people always cite the Crusades as like, well, okay, well, that was a lot of crazy shit happened back then.
But look, there were Crusades because the Turks and the Muslims were charging down to Europe. So you need to have a crusade to bounce them back. If there were no crusades, we would be now speaking a different language probably.
Exactly
you know?
Right.
And it's also like, and there was a lot of killing. Yeah, there was a lot of killing on both sides. You know?
Yeah.
And there's people doing bad shit. But I'm still gonna be proud of it. I'm gonna be proud that, I mean, not my ancestors were not crusaders. Like I associate that usually with, you know, with kind of England, you know, knights and stuff like this. I'm not versed in that part of history, but like I'm proud that we had the crusaders. The dudes in the armor doing shit on our behalf, basically. I'm proud of that. I'm not gonna, you know, because racist. How can you support killing of blah blah? Hey, that's how it is, you know. So.
I mean, if you're going to compare, you know, Christianity and Islam, obviously, you know, there's been wars. Have a look at Northern Ireland, for example. You know, within the same faith, but there's no other religion on the planet that. I mean, have a look at Middle East. You've got Sunnis and Shiites, right? They've been at war with each other for centuries, and will do for more centuries. So I think culturally, it is based from. It has an extremist undertone. You know, I'm not saying all Muslims are extremists, but from my understanding and from what I see and what I observe around the world, look at what Muslims do to each other. Look how they treat each other. You know, nearly all Muslim majority countries are not the sort of countries that people want to move to. Yet the West always gets blamed. There's one of my favourite authors, a guy called Douglas Murray. He's a gay British academic journalist. He's written some books that are brilliant. One's called The War on the West. The other one's called The Strange Death of Europe, which spoke about this. In 2017, he released this book, and pretty much what's happening now, he called it. And said if things don't change. And his latest book is it's called On Democracies and Death Cults. It's about Gaza and the current war in Gaza. And I just think, I wish I could articulate myself as well as he does. He's absolutely brilliant.
But you're pretty good. I'm bad. You can see me.
Look, It's also
Like,
a second
you're
language.
really- you're really
It's
good.
also a second language, so.
You cannot speak all the frustration that I have, you know, but I cannot use the words. That's why I'm. So, yeah.
But, you know, there's, you know, yeah, I mean, look, we could go on forever about this, but,
Yeah,
but I suppose,
I
you know,
know.
in summary, I'll just say that no one is moving to Iran. There is no one from anywhere in the world that's moving to Egypt en masse. No one's moving to, they're moving to countries that are completely different to where they left for a reason. Yet when they're here, they hate everything that we stand for and want to erode our culture and the fabric of our society to turn us into them, which I just don't understand. I mean, if you're fleeing a country and you're a refugee and you find refuge in Italy or France or the Netherlands, wouldn't you just be so happy that you're blessed, like you're so lucky you're in this beautiful country? Just enjoy it, immerse yourself in the culture.
Try to do something with yourself. Like you have an opportunity to maybe get education, get a job.
Yeah.
You know.
But no, just like in Sydney, you know, they all stick to their little communities and they try and turn where they live into where they left. I've just never fucking understood that. You know, I'm not a neo-Nazi, I'm not a fascist, I am a fucking immigrant. And also spent 20 years, you know, fighting for my country, which I love. So I feel like I have a fucking right to say what I want. And if people don't agree with me, then hey, you know what?
That's why you got the weight.
You migrate to another country, you spend 20 years at military, and then come see me when you're 41, we'll have a chat. But a lot of people, I think also, and this is part of the reason why I've jumped the opportunity to come here. I think that when my daughter's a few years older, I'm going to take her travelling around the world. I think it's the best education. These narrow-minded liberals who have never left their hometown, who have a view of the entire world, who have never fucking left their country, is part of the issue. And I think that, you know, every country that I go to that I haven't been to before, I'm so happy to be there because it makes you a better person, it makes you appreciate what you have, and you can learn things from other countries and other cultures. But you can't sit in your country and talk about how you know everything. We've never fucking left and gone any parts of the world. I mean, how many pro-Palestinian marches have there ever been to a country in the Middle East, do you think? How many? I'd say next to none.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Yeah. And not just to go to some other country, go out of your damn bubble that you have. Your bubbly world that you live in.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But of course, they won't do that. They won't read, they won't listen to podcasts, they won't, because it's easier just to watch the mainstream news you know?
Yeah.
And just constantly just pleasure, dopamine.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Just that old confirmation bias.
Because, you know, if you want to achieve something, there's no dopamine there. Like when you went through selection or wanted to achieve something, it was hard work.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. And then you got the pleasure. But then it continued if you wanted to achieve something else, you know? So it's constant.
Yeah.
So how can someone then criticize you of saying that if he never went out of his zones, you know?
But I also think it's you know, it's really interesting. I was in Japan a few months ago for work, and I was with the host, the Japanese guy, and we went to a medical center. One of the other Aussie guys I was with, he had to get something for his eye. Anyway, so we go to this medical center, and it wasn't a big car park, but he parks in the very furthest car park away to the entrance. And then we're walking into the car, and I'm looking around at him going, hey bro, why did you park so fucking far away? There's a million car spots close to the building. He's like, oh, no. For places like medical things, if you have time and it's not urgent, you park really far away and you leave the car spots close to the entrance for people who are in a rush. Yeah, and I just thought to myself, wow, that would never happen anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world, in Australia, fucking, I'm parking at the front, fuck everyone else because my time is more important. Everyone's in a rush. And I just thought to myself, you know, I really love the Japanese people and Japan culture. Everyone's polite, everyone's dressed well, everything's clean. Yeah, it really is polite society. The only shitbags I saw were fucking Aussie tourists. Their singlets and their tattoos hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that just speaks to, you know, how cultures can be so different even in today. Yeah. That would never happen in the West. Can you imagine going to America, going to Walmart, and parking furthest away so that someone else can like...
Yeah, I never thought about it that way, actually. Like, so, I mean, probably in this same category would also go all the woke LGBT and all that probably shit that we basically discussed right now. Is that a big issue, let's say, in Australia, or maybe like in schools? Are they teaching kids in schools any of that
This is
crap?
part of the reason. So, so my daughter, she's like a dancer, really expensive. Like she's like a semi-professional dancer. She does like 30-something hours a week at a dance studio. But we pulled her out of school, and she does distance education through an Australian Christian college. So part of the reason is because she was getting so tired trying to manage her dance in school. We've only got the one child. My wife said, you know what, I'll leave work and I'll just be the stay-at-home mum. It's not homeschooling. It's not my wife teaching. It's the same curriculum as every other school, but it's delivered online. You know? So my daughter's 10. She's making Excel spreadsheets. When her friends in public school are still using fucking crayons, probably. I don't know. But part of the reason was, man, is the stuff that they're teaching in schools about, you know, boys and girls and boys and boys and girls and girls and, you know.
So that's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. And this is what I really have a hard time with, man. Like, we look at homosexuality, right? I've got no problem with gay. You know why? History is our precedent. The Spartans were prolific homosexuals. Since there's been human beings, there have been men sleeping with men and women sleeping with women. It's just for whatever reason, it exists, right? You can go back 1,000 years, 10,000 years, and it happened. But nowhere in our history as a species has there ever been a place in time where someone says, I'm neither a boy or a girl, or I don't know what I am, I'm everything or I'm nothing. Or they're fluid, where one day on Monday they're a boy, on Tuesday they're a girl. Like, you know, it's a mental illness. And, you know, there is, and you know, someone asked me this question the other day. It's like, okay, well, if there's only two genders, then, you know, how do all these people identify? And I said, well, there are two genders, but there's an infinite amount of fucking mental illnesses. You know, so once again, it doesn't make you a bad person, but is it best for a society? You know, the whole she, they. I mean, forget the fact that it's basic. It's incorrect grammar. You can't use a they to describe one person. It's not fucking English. Like you can't hijack grammar. You can't change the English language, but they have.
Look,
she, they, she. It's one fucking person. Like,
hey, if you tell that to our Slovenian president, which is female.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They is not a correct word to describe one person.
Well, it's
I'm
not.
sure she wouldn't agree. So our president wouldn't agree with you, even though she's probably highly educated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in Slovenian we say oni, tisto, oni, they. Yeah, I'm just looking what's the word in Slovenian for they.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm oni. So I would represent myself as they, oni.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like, you know.
Sorry to interrupt.
It's like, oh, you know, hi, I'm Scott. I use the pronouns. Fucking pronouns.
I didn't ask you that. I should have asked you at the airport, how should I address you? Machine gun or something, I don't know. I identify as hand grenade or
I identify as a mad cunt.
This you are. This is not not an issue.
But yeah, man, look, I just think, and once again, you know, we are moving away from what? We're moving away from centrist Christian values, you know. I also think Christians have turned a lot of people away from Christianity, you know,
of course.
Rather extreme forms of Christianity, you know, where it's, you know, if you have sex with someone outside marriage, it's a sin and all this. Like, I mean, there has to be a modern version of Christianity, right? But all these things...
That's a sin.
Yeah, but
but we can... Yeah, I understand what you mean.
But all these things we're speaking about, you can almost bring it back to, let's just use Christian texts as a rough guide. I'm not saying you have to follow it verbatim. I'm not saying you need to know all the Proverbs and read the Bible every day, but I'm just saying, let's just extract some core fundamental values as a society from Christianity, and let's see if that works. Oh, hang on, we don't have to, because it fucking already worked for centuries. Yeah. Which is what? Man marries a woman, they have a child. You know? Okay, it's worked well so far as a species to get us here. Why do we think we can change that?
Yeah.
You know, like...
Exactly what.
Yeah.
Well, you know, around these topics, I think we could talk probably for hours. Like, we could dissect every topic, and we could have a 10, 12-hour podcast or something. Or, like, for example, we didn't talk a lot about your military career, basically.
No, it's all in the book, mate.
Exactly. It's all in the book. So hopefully a lot of people will read it, not just guys, also females, of course. But yeah. One last thing went out of my mind. Yeah, I mean, this is just happening here in the West. I would just say that, I don't know if you agree, but like, I can see a war being waged on Christianity.
I think it already is.
Western civilization.
I think it already is.
And the reason for it, because it's strong, but also I think that the dudes that are waging war on Christianity are actually representing evil side, or maybe even Satan. So it's a spiritual war, and that's also one of the reasons that I'm like, yeah, because it's true.
Mate, look at...
For me.
Yeah.
You know?
No, look, you're 100%
Because you can
right,
see, there's a whole circle of things that are attacking our culture. We're here in the middle, and and they got us on all sides and all angles, you know? I don't know if you agree, but...
Yeah. Mate, there's a really interesting analogy in Douglas Murray's book, The War in the West, where he speaks about this expectation that Western countries have to take migrants because people in the West, and he makes a good point. He says that we don't expect that of any other country. The Japanese and Iranians aren't being persecuted because they're not taking enough refugees. They just fucking won't. Turkish people aren't being persecuted because they're not taking enough migrants. Countries inside the Middle East are not persecuted for taking their own people, yet the West, we're expected to be this bastion of open borders where we take anyone because we're the land of the free and we have this obligation. Where does that obligation come from? Like, where is this right that the West has to have where we say that we have to, that we have this obligation to take in people? And why does the West only get blamed when we don't? No other countries in the world do that. It's an interesting observation, right?
It's so obvious.
Yeah.
And not all the people see it.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not see it? Like,
look, anyone, I will say to the listeners that, you know, look, we're just a pair of fucking idiots here, but
of course.
But there is, you know, keep an open mind and don't get your information from Instagram and TikTok. There's some books I would really recommend. Like I said, one is The War in the West by Douglas Murray, and the other one, particularly concerning Europe, it's a book written in 2017 called The Strange Death of Europe.
Strange Death of Europe.
The Strange Death of Europe. I challenge you to read those books and form your own opinion, because you'll find that even an incremental amount of critical thinking, most of your fundamental ideologies fucking fall apart. It's made on a house of cards.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that one down later on the phone.
Mate, just get the audiobook in the gym. That's what I do.
Oh yeah.
It's
because
really
I should read more.
Mate, I don't have time to read. I do all my listening. Like, I do a lot of driving.
Because you drive
gym.
a lot, yeah.
So you know, all my books are.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had this. It was my mother, and she's like, you know, information's supposed to be read. It's not supposed to be. You know, you're not supposed to pass on information by listening. It's not the right way to do it. And I was like, how long has a printing press been around in comparison to how long we've been around? I go, we've passed on culture through civilizations by the word of mouth.
Yeah,
there was no books. We did pretty well to get here so far. So, look, if you don't know how to read, 100% you'd learn. But if you know how to read and you're just wasting time, just fucking listen to the book. Yeah, you can do it at the gym. You can do it mowing the lawn. You can do it anything.
It depends on the person. I mean, of course, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. So for me, the information will stick more in my head if I read it. But I listen to it all the time. And also, if not books, try to listen to podcasts, which is better than listening to that brain rot music all the time. You know, especially these days, that's brain rot. That's satanic occults producing music in the States. This is just conspiracy theories talking out of me. But yeah, anything is better than just watching the mainstream media and all that. Okay, so we got, how long? What, like 2 hours and a half? Rock, what's the time stamp? We're still rolling. What's the 2.5? Something. 2? Yeah, I think that's enough. So I know we could talk for another 2 hours, I'm sure. I don't want to, at least for now, the podcast, the episodes are like around 2 hours. Hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't want to bog the people down too much, although you're a really good speaker.
Oh, thank you.
And I can see that you explain things, especially those in the last half that we were talking about. You can explain them actually much better than myself. I hope that the guys that are watching this can understand English because then it didn't make sense to speak with you for 2 hours. But yeah, in Slovenia, we're pretty versed in English. So we're now Tuesday, beginning of the week. There's going to be some courses. Friday is going to be, I'm not sure when this is coming out, but on Friday you're going to have the book presentation and stuff like this. So of course, honored and happy that you arrived to Slovenia, that you responded. We're not actually offering you much,
no, hey,
as
mate,
you well know.
No, I'm here. No, look, no, mate. Look, I really appreciate you guys having me over here. It's been great. I'm really looking forward to this week.
Yeah. So firstly, it's good to see an experienced fighter like yourself. That's number one thing, and to talk about it. And secondly, also to get a guy from the other side of the world, basically with the same mentality that I have, and the majority of people, I assume, especially when we're talking about those societal things.
Yeah.
So, you got any last words, something, or
no, mate,
whatever?
No, look, mate, no? I'll just say really appreciate your hospitality of you and the team, of the boys. Like I said, I've always wanted to come to this part of the world, and I've got my opportunity. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to meeting as many people as I can and seeing more of this beautiful country. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's gonna be great for the whole week.
Yeah.
It's too bad. So hey, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you around.
Hey, thanks, mate.
Thanks a lot,
Cheers,
man.
brother.